We are continuing with Unit 9 conic sections. We're going to go to the fourth flat of your foldable. And this will cover hyperbolas. And this one's a little more complicated, so please make sure that you're paying attention while I do this. So these equations, you still get the center the same way. So there's, of course, this one and this one make the center. But there are two different types of equations, and if you notice, the k for the second one is over here because the y is listed first on the right one. And there is a reason for that. It actually tells you something. You use this to determine if they will be horizontal or vertical. This one right here tells you that it will be horizontal. So in other words, the hyperbolas will look like this. They will be horizontal. This one on the right tells you that they will be vertical, and they will look like this. So that's the first thing you have to determine, is whether it will be horizontal or vertical. And then you can find your center and plot the points. And remember that this purple one, the center is actually flip-flop. Usually you would always have the x over on the left and the y over on the right. But in this case, you need to flip-flop them. Your x will be on the right and your y will be on the left. So you have to make sure that whatever is written here, that will be your x, and whatever is written here will be your y for your center. And then your directions are also flip-flopped as well. If you look, your y direction is listed first and your x direction is listed second. So please make sure that you pay attention to these things whenever we draw them. If they are vertical, everything will be flipped. So let's try a problem. So the first thing says is determine if it is horizontal or vertical. And we know the difference between which letter is listed first. In this case, we have x listed first. So since we have x listed first, it will be horizontal. So in this one, everything will be listed the correct way. Our center, our x will be the first thing. So we have our center. And remember that it's the opposite, so this -2 will then become a +2. And then this is my y value, and the -3 will then become a +3. We have the directions. So we take the square root of this, or our x direction, the square root of 9, which is really just 3. And then we take the square root of this for our y direction, which is the square root of 25, which is 5. The next thing that we need to do is use the points to draw a box and its diagonals. So this is what that means. So first we have to draw the center, which is at 2, 3. So this is the center. And then we're going to do the x direction and the y direction. So our x direction is 3, so we're going to count 3 to the right and 3 to the left. So 1, 2, 3 to the right, and 1, 2, 3 to the left. And then we have our y direction, which is 5, and that's how many we're going to count up and down. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down. And with these, we're going to draw a little imaginary type box. So it will look like this. We're just going to dash the lines for it. We're going to make our box. And what we're going to do is we're going to draw diagonally through the corners of these boxes. And these are what we call asymptotes. And the asymptotes will help us to draw the hyperbola itself. So we're going to draw our lines, and you just continue it in the same direction. So it's going diagonally through the edges. And same thing with this one. Since this is a horizontal, our vertices will be our horizontal dots. So this one right here and this one here, those are our vertices. If it was a vertical, we would use the vertical ones. So whenever it asks for your vertices, it's asking for these 2 points. So we need to find those points. And this first one is at -1, 1, 2, 3. And the second one is at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3. 5, 3. So those are our vertices. From this point, we can actually go ahead and draw our graphs. So this is going to be the point that it gets the closest, and then it will kind of follow that same direction across the asymptotes. So we will get it, and it will kind of follow along that asymptote that way, and along this asymptote this way. And the same thing with this one, along this asymptote this way, and along this one this way. And what that means is it will never actually cross those dotted lines. It will keep going in this direction, but it won't ever cross the dotted line that continues. So that's what our graph will look like, but we still need to do our foci. So you take our square root, and this time we are going to add our denominators. I know in the previous one we subtracted our denominators, but now we are going to add them. So we have 25 plus 9, and we're going to take the square root of that. So that is the square root of 34, which is approximately 5.8. And what we're going to do is we're going to, since it is horizontal, we're going to go in the same direction that we used our vertices, and we're going to go 5.8 away. So we start at the center, and we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.8 in this direction. And on this one we will go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.8 in this direction. So for our next one, if you notice, our y is listed first. So everything is going to be flip-flopped, and in this case it will be vertical. So our y value for our center will be listed first, and our x value for our center will be listed second. So whenever we write it, we're not going to put this one first, we're going to put this one first. And since it's plus 2, it will now be -2, and since this one's -1, it will now be a positive 1. So all I did is I flipped these numbers the other direction. Our x direction is actually on the right now, so the square root of 16, which is 4. Our y direction will now be on the left, so the square root of 4, which is 2. So we need to plot all these things. Our center is at -2, 1. Our x direction is 4 to the right and 4 to the left, so 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Our y direction is 2 up and 2 down. Draw your little imaginary box. Draw your diagonals, or your asymptotes. The other one as well. And our vertices, since this is a vertical, our vertices will be the vertical points. So this one is at -2, 3, and the other one is at -2, -1. So it's just where these dots are. Now we can actually draw our graph, and it will be vertical this time. So it will look like this. And yes, those are supposed to be a little more rounded than that, but it's the best I can do with my Mobi. And then we need to find our foci. So the square root, and we add them together now, so 16 plus 4, which is the square root of 20, which is around 4.5. So we go from the center in the direction of the vertices. So from the center, we're going to go up 1, 2, 3, 4.5. And from the center, we're going to go down 1, 2, 3, 4.5. And so now, we never did our points of the last one. We need to actually write down the points, which I never did for the first one, the blue points. So right here, it is at 1, 2, 3.8, negative 3.8, and up 1, 2, 3. And this one is at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.8, and 3. And we still need to list the points for the foci. I apologize, I completely skipped that part on the first one. This one, we're going to go to the left, 1, 2, and up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.5. And for the other one, we're going to go over 1, 2, and down 1, 2, 3.5. Alright, this one, X is listed first, so it will be horizontal. That means everything will be as it should. It doesn't have to be flipped or anything. Our X value is listed first, and our Y value is listed second. So since it's plus 1, it will be negative 1. Since it's minus 3, it will be a positive 3. Our X direction is going to be on the left still, so the square root of 9, which is 3. Our Y direction will be on the right, so the square root of 4, which is 2. So now we can plot these things and make our little box. So our center is at negative 1, 1, 2, 3. And we will go our X direction, which is horizontal, left 3 and right 3. So left 1, 2, 3, and right 1, 2, 3. Our Y direction, which is vertical, 2. So up 1, 2, and down 1, 2. We need to make our little imaginary box that helps us to plot things. Do our horizontals. I'm sorry, diagonals. And then, since this one is horizontal, these are our vertices. So this red dot is at negative 1, 2, 3, 4. And 1, 2, 3. And this red dot is at 1, 2. And up 1, 2, 3. We can go ahead and draw our hyperbolas. And then we still need to do our foci, which is the square root of the denominators added together. So the square root of 13, which is 3.6. So from the center, we're going to go in the same direction of our vertices. So this time it's going to be horizontal, 3.6. So 1, 2, 3, 3.6, and 1, 2, 3.6. So this one is actually over 1, 2, 3, 4.6, negative 4.6. And it goes up 1, 2, 3. And this one goes over to the right, 1, 2.6, and up 3. These should actually be negative 2's over here. Sorry. And that concludes this flap that covers hyperbolas.